Hi, Sue. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Karen. Hi, Danny.
Hi, hello.
What's happening?
Well, I'm sewing at the moment.
Can see that. Promo for Viking.
That's it. That's my baby.
Well, for Husqvarna, isn't it? Husqvarna.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
You changed your hair colour.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I think it's the light in this room. Or I'm going grey. I'm going greyer.
I think there actually might be lots of people who've been going greyer in the last 6 weeks.
Have you dressed up for Fashion Week, Fashion Revolution Week?
Well, I've got my clothes hanging up there. Can you see?
Oh yes.
I wasn't going to put on my nurse's cape, but you can see the red nurse's cape hanging there. So when Emma comes on, I'll be able to show her some of those clothes there, made in Australia. Remember when?
Yeah.
I had Fletcher Jones jeans for a long time and my husband still got a pair of Fletcher Jones pants that we bought when we got married. They're still his good pants.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, and Danny's got a suit. Yes, actually, yeah, thanks for the reminder, Sue. Danny's going to try and find his suit that we picked up.
He's going to go put the suit on.
I bought a Fletcher Jones ladies blouse in an op shop or a sale only last year, and I was really surprised. It was very reasonably priced.
Yes, yeah, beautiful.
Doesn't someone local know the value of labels?
This suit was a real bargain, bought many years ago in the local Vinnie's for $40, and he's worn it to every single event since. Made by Fletcher Jones, a black dinner suit, and it was the perfect fit. Everything was perfect for him, so it was meant to be.
Yeah, Daryl, we were invited to a formal wedding last year, and Daryl's never owned a suit jacket. He didn't even have one for our wedding. I made him a waistcoat, and I said, "No, you're not hiring a suit. You don't wear it. You're not going to get wear of it." He's never needed one. So anyway, we went down to one of the local sheds. Victor Harbour, Andra have a really big shed. And I said to him one day, let's go down and see what they've got in suit jackets, because he's 6'2", so getting something with long enough sleeves is a challenge. And we picked one up for $3.
Isn't that fantastic?
And it matches his pants.
That's wonderful. Yeah, right. Really good. Danny's just bought in his suit. He's not wearing it, Charlie.
All right.
Yep.
But it's got the satin. You know, the satin and the satin down the legs.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, so it's a real dinner suit.
Oh, yes. It's just lovely.
Show us the label, Danny. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. You know, that would be hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Oh, I hate to think how much. How much do you think that would have been new from Fletcher Jones?
Goodness knows.
Oh, hundreds.
Yeah.
There's the binding down the legs there.
Oh, yeah. And they made all their suits to alter too. The way they did all the seaming in them and everything. Because I know my dad's got some Fletcher Jones pants that he's had altered a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because they actually made them so that they could be taken in and out.
Yes, well, the seam allowances are quite generous on those. You can see where you can alter if you need to. So maybe his next wear, I might have to alter them because he's put on a little bit of weight in lockdown.
Oh.
He probably won't be going to many events in lockdown where he needs a formal suit, will he?
No.
Maybe the bin night thing, Charlie.
Yeah, that's right.
The bow tie.
Just the bin isolation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Emma's ready to join us. Actually, she's in the waiting room.
Oh,
in the green room.
That's great. If everyone
ready to join in.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll be chatting to her, and if you want to ask questions, ask questions after I've sort of introduced her and given you an idea of who she is. And yeah, is that okay?
Yep.
Great.
And that's a great camera angle of you too, Charlie. It sort of shows the workings.
Shows the
what you need.
yeah. It shows the hair receding.
Oh, mine's already done that.
Hi Emma, how's it going?
Hi. Hello, Emma.
Oh,
Is she on mute?
can you hear us? Hold on, you're muted at the moment. There we go. Hi Emma.
Hi.
Hi, Emma.
Hi, Emma.
Hi, Karen.
How are you? And Danny, remember Danny?
Yeah, hi, Danny.
Hi, Emma.
That's
Hi.
great. Oh, we finally got here.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, thank you so much for agreeing to come into our Zoom room and have a chat to us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're most welcome. Well, I'll just give people a little bit of a background to how Danny and I know you, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And then we'll introduce you and you can have a bit of a chat to who is in the Zoom room. So last year, Danny and I went to a repair cafe at the Maker community in Brunswick. And we came in the door to the address that we were meant to be attending this repair cafe. And we're sort of standing there saying, well, how come this is like a workroom, a garment production workroom? Where's the repair cafe? And it just happened that it was down the corridor out the back. And when we were about to leave the repair cafe, Danny came back to you and was having a chat. And he said, I think I've got to go and get Karen so that she can have a chat with you, because she just loves garments and loves textiles and loves industrial sewing machines and sewing machines. And so we both came back as we were ready to leave the repair cafe, and we had a really good chat with you about all things textiles and garment production, etc., and your business, of course. And as we were sort of ready to go, it was you that said, oh, you do borrow and visible mending, Karen. How about we do something together for Fashion Revolution Day?
Yeah.
And so when this sort of came up, Fashion Revolution Day, came up, it immediately prompted me to think of, oh, you and Hugh, your business, and how about we do something for Fashion Revolution Day? So that's when I recontacted you and you agreed to Zoom in with us. And I was thrilled to bits. And so anyway, we would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and why textiles, why sewing, garment production, a little bit about your business, and a little bit about Fashion Revolution Day and how it sort of, you think it fits into what we're doing as far as mending textiles goes at a community level. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, over to you.
Okay. Thank you for that intro. So I have always been sewing. I grew up, it was, in a lot around in my family. My mum was a textile designer and all her side of the family sewed. And, I would think I was given my first sewing machine, I think when I was 7. So I've always loved creating things on the sewing machine, and also knitting and working with fabrics. That's always been from an early stage of my life. And I went on to study fashion and textiles at RMIT. And that was, I worked a lot in menswear when I was there. And then when I finished the degree, I went overseas and I lived in Paris and did an internship there. And then I went to live in Los Angeles. And it was in Los Angeles that I started to move more into costume design for film and television. So I explored more of a it was more, not so much producing fashion garments for everyday life trend, it was for on screen. So I really loved working within doing periodical costume and working, like researching a certain time or an era. And that was, I interned on the TV series Mad Men, and
Wow.
I was there for, yeah, that was really fun. So I was there for season 5, and that was, I was in this big warehouse that was kind of sorting out all the garments and the fittings and the production of the clothing for the characters. So that's and then after I left LA, it would have been in 2011, I came back to Melbourne and I continued to work in costume for Australian television series. So I worked on Neighbours, House Husbands, Dancing with the Stars, and yeah, it was all, so yeah, I kind of, that's how I kind of moved into the costume industry. And it was, then I just started to look at menswear, and I was struggling to find bold menswear for the TV screen. So I decided to make a range of men's shirts, and in order to make unique patterns, I really wanted to make prints and patterns that were exclusive to my brand. So I started to look at collaborating with artists, and that's when I started to, it kind of grew, that became the backbone of my brand, always collaborating with an artist to make the prints. So that's kind of been recurring. Sorry, my friend's going on. And yeah, so that's, I made the menswear shirts, and then in 2013, I started to work more on making like more items, different men's shorts. It was all menswear. So, and then I, yeah, started my brand and started to stop doing costume work. I did continue to do freelance. So I did commercials still, you know, because when you do for the film industry, or like, you usually go on like a contract for that season. So it was hard to do my brand when I was full-time working. So I kind of finished that up and then concentrated on growing my brand. And then, yeah, about 3 years after doing the menswear, I started to introduce women's wear. And it was kind of always working each season. I just find new artists to work with. Usually they're all local. They're people that I meet or know, or sometimes people that used to come into my shop. I think how we work, you know, it's important for if I feel like their style will work well on clothing. And I usually, if they're going to make me a new design, I give them a color palette. So I try to make sure all the prints still sit nicely together in the store. So I just kind of give them a color palette of some, you know, some tones of like mustards or blues that are, you know, already existing in my range, and then they kind of work it into their print. Or some artists, I just directly buy the rights to use their work for, if I love their work as it is, and I want it to, and yeah, to buy it's a copy right or to be able to print that work. And then, yeah, and then after print, you know, creating the artwork on the fabric, it's just about my part of the business is the design and creating the garments. And when I was doing menswear, a men's shirt is very difficult to make, so I didn't do too much sewing, and it was only kind of in the last probably 3 or 4 years that I started to bring a lot more production back into my workroom. So that was really great, because I think you have another stage of the design process, which is that going from 2D to 3D, and it kind of brings, like, it invites more, I don't know, even mistakes, I guess, to find new ways of problem solving or changing things. It can be, yeah, I feel like some of my best pieces have been created when I been working hands-on with the material, and I find, yeah, so that's really important for me to make sure that I'm still designing in 3D and working with materials and seeing how they behave and how they drape, and working with scale. The scale of the print on the body is really important. So all depend, like, the print can look completely different depending on how large it is on the body. So yeah, so I guess that's my kind of journey. And you know, each year for Fashion Revolution, so Fashion Revolution Week, this is its 7th year, and it's it started in 2013. It was after the Rana Plaza. It was a collapse of the building that killed, I think, 1,138 garment workers, and this kind of I think it really brought the spotlight onto the garment manufacturing industry. And you know, I think in production, this, you know, it gets passed down so many hands that people kind of, they pass on the risk, and then they also, it's hard to kind of trace I guess responsibility of, you know, I guess the transparency is not there. So I think Fashion Revolution is about bringing transparency and kind of making the production line, bringing it more clear, and I guess be able to present it to the customer that everyone working in the production line is safe, and they're paid a fair wage, and they have a voice, and, you know, they're looked after. I think, you know, in a lot of countries, a lot of garment manufacturers are undocumented. So, like, there's been a huge problem with this year with COVID, that a lot of production's been cancelled when the clothing has been ready for shipment, and people have been, you know, they've lost a lot of work. And there's been also this other campaign which has been going at the same time as Fashion Revolution, called #PayUp. So it's all for the large companies that have completely abandoned their orders, and there's apparently, I think, $4.5 billion of stock at the docks in Bangladesh. It's like, you know, yeah, they kind of need to, somebody needs to pay for it. It's really unfair that, you know, the people suffering are the garment workers, and they, but yeah, so for Fashion Revolution Week, it's about educating the customer to also ask questions, and become conscious of, you know, who they're supporting, and encouraging them to look beneath the surface of, you know, maybe just even the price point or where it's made, and become aware that there's so much of a journey of how the clothes get to you in the store that impacts other people and the planet. So I think the whole #Who Made My Clothes can bring attention to, making sure that where the clothing is made is in the proper working conditions. And if the business can show you that, then that gives you food, like that gives you confidence. I think, when there's a lack of transparency, it's hard to know the ethicals, like, you know, how ethical the company is. And there's this the whole trend of greenwashing at the moment. So people saying that they're sustainable, but really, you know, it's, yeah, I think it just, if we can educate the customer to really, to ask a lot of questions. And I'm really loving this week on social media. Social media is such a perfect platform because it's, anyone can get it up there and they can hashtag or they can tag the company and ask them directly who made my clothes. And then, so that's great for people to get, you know, if they're asking questions, they can get answers directly from the company. Yeah, so that's what the Fashion Revolution Week is. Although they say like we shouldn't have just 1 week of this asking questions, like it always should be a question you're asking, but I think it's a week to really escalate their awareness, and you know, you can start to inform, like people talk about it to your family and friends, and then the more people know about it, they can start to I guess have more things to consider when they're purchasing an item. Yeah, and what was the other thing I was gonna, I forgot.
Well, that was a great overview, and thank you for that. I think it brings me back to when I did meet you, and
yeah.
I did ask you, well, you know, where's all this stuff made that you know, this wonderful stuff you make? And you said to me that a lot of it, you know, is in China. However, you have visited China. And that's what Fashion Revolution Week is about too. Having people like yourself who are making garments know exactly where they're being made. And I believe you have visited the factories over there. Is that correct, that make your garments or your shirts? Is that right?
Yeah. I've been working with the same factory for years and years. Since the beginning now, and I go over and see them every year. I didn't get to go this year, obviously, but I go there every year. Sometimes I go twice a year, and kind of, you know, it's because I am also my order's so small. I make sure that it's to keep the connection ongoing and really try to engage with them on a personal level. So. I think that's one of the reasons why I can have something, my production, which is so small, done in their factory. But going there and seeing their all their, oh, I've got someone coming in.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Oh,
Oh, they're gone.
on their Facebook page, it still says like today's sale.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. Sorry, someone coming to
That's
look
all
for our
right.
group. So they you can have a look at their working conditions, and firsthand, you know, you're there you're on the floor with them. You can see, yeah, and also with my fabrics, I get them from Gots Organic, which is this. So I haven't been to the factory where they make this, but these textiles, but I don't know if you can see,
It's
that they have their own auditing system.
oh, it's
I don't know.
oh,
So Gots Organic, yeah. So they actually have auditors that are sent out, and yeah. So the global organic textile standards have their own auditors. So I think if you're not able to go there in person to see the factory and be there, it's also best to go with someone who's already accredited, and then you know that they've got they've been audited, and they have certificates, and you can feel confident, I guess, in investing in their product.
yeah. No, that's wonderful. And I did want to go back to Dancing with the Stars, because I used to watch it because I love dancing. And I noticed that the costumes, when June was there, they always mentioned a June. Was that the time you were there with June?
Yes, I think so. I think I was probably, it was a long time, but I worked in 2 different areas. So there's, they have a big warehouse in Richmond. When I was there, they had like a warehouse where they made the costumes. Like it's like almost dressmakers. So all the costumes are handmade and, you know, fitted for that character. So there might be someone like just putting diamantes on, like, you know, so it was all hand done. It was amazing, the amount of the costume production was huge for that. So, and then I was on set when I had to dress the when I had to dress the actors in their costumes. So it was both areas. So if you worked in the dressmaking like warehouse, you would have never, you know, been on set or done any. It's just all the production there, and yeah, and then being on set, it's they also had you know, a huge warehouse kind of space where all the accessories, like you wouldn't think, like all the earrings and the like necklaces and all that, all the costume jewelry was massive. So it's it was definitely a fun production to work on because the costumes were so extensive, and it was kind of crossing into your like theatre production kind of, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And why I mentioned June, she was in the very early days of Dancing with the Stars. So she was right at the start. I don't know her, but they would always say, you know, June sort of designed these or whatever. I just noticed towards the end of Dancing with the Stars, you know, once the series had been going for a while, that the costumes had deteriorated, in my opinion, from when June was there, because June left. And then, so I think it would have been to do with money.
Budget.
Yes. Yeah.
Budget. Yeah. Budget.
Yeah, totally.
Yes. Yes.
I think there was so much money spent on those costumes when I was there. I wouldn't be surprised if someone came in and wanted to cut an area, they might have, because we were using like Swarovski crystal, you know, but they're the best crystals because when, you know, it picks up the light, there's so much sparkle. But I remember, like, you know, when you pick up someone just picking up Swarovski crystals and putting them on a bodice, and then to pay someone for the labor of just putting the crystals on, and then plus those crystals, it would have been like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Amazing.
You know?
Amazing.
But, and they always, I think they did sometimes get something from the last season and reworked it maybe. But everything was kind of new. It wasn't, and a lot of fabrics that, you know, when you do the ruffling and there's meters, like you would know there's like so many meters of fabric in all those ruffles. And I mean, yeah, you could really, I guess if they did cut the budget, you would have like picked up on.
Yes, really did pick up on it. And I think if you have a textiles come sewing background, you don't even have to be a costume designer or somebody like yourself to realize, oh, the quality's gone down a little bit. So yeah, but did you meet Keanu? No, who was on was it Mad Men, did you say? Or you Mad Men? No, well, you wouldn't have met Keanu.
Yeah. Yeah, I met Christina Hendricks, was her name? The one with Joan with the red hair.
Yes.
She always had special fittings because all her outfits were like tailored to her body because she was quite curvy, and so everything was tailor made for her. And all the furs were original, like in the 1950s. So we would have showings where people from around the country would come to the warehouse with a big, like big containers of vintage furs and dresses, and they would have a display, and the costume designer would be like, oh, we'll rent that for the season, we'll rent that. So they didn't own everything, but because some of the first would have been so expensive, they just rent them for the season. But yeah, it was kind of, I don't know what happened with all the costumes, but there was a huge warehouse of everything. So
Yeah.
I mean, they probably would have kept, maybe they sold it to another production company or kept it. But yeah, I think in America, you know, with secondhand clothing, there's so much more of it, and you can find, it's much easier to find something from the 1950s which is still in its like pristine condition.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think even when we're watching movies, and Danny will oftentimes comment, where do they get all this stuff from? Whether it's clothing or these vintage cars, or, you know, you watch Pickers, and there's just so much stuff, American Pickers in barns and sheds. It's fascinating.
Totally.
So I can understand what you're saying. Well, it's been great, and I think we better give our other Zoomers, a chance to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Yeah, so has anyone got any questions of Emma after listening to what she said?
Who tends to buy the stuff you make, Emma? Is it just your run of the mill people, or is it, you know, who buys the stock? Because obviously it would have a price tag being limited run.
Yeah, my printed shirts, I find they're more of the customer, he's probably around like 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
He buys the printed shirts, and then the women, they're probably, I don't know, late 30s or about in their 30s. And yeah, I think people that there's a lot of guys that do like their loud shirts, and they will buy certain prints that are really out there. And then I have some smaller kind of geometrics prints, which I guess the more, maybe the younger guys might buy them. It was funny, like when I started making loud printed shirts, I didn't think it would take off, and like you know, from guys that were my dad's age, but they really like the prints.
Oh, Dr. Carl. I think his wife makes
people.
shirts.
Yeah. Oh, really? I was wondering where he got them from.
Yeah,
I was like, I wonder how he. Yeah.
I think she started making them because he's very tall and he actually couldn't buy stuff easily off the rack. And then once he started making stuff, I think that's sort of his trademark now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nate on ABC Breakfast wears all the florals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wish he'd have. I wish he would always have his sleeves rolled up though.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't sell to Nate because they are sort of similar looking, but you've got your signature cuffs, Emma. Those beautiful signature cuffs.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and in the video, that video is amazing. Who does that work for you? The video with the guy, you know, and he's got the crocheted rug on the couch, and then all the different shirts are being changed. The one we posted. Who does that?
Yeah, I had someone who approached me and he's a videographer, and yeah, we kind of went to a country house which we found on Airbnb that had all that amazing like kind of retro decor. Yeah, it was really, and then yeah, he helped make that video, and it was really fun. It was good. It's we worked with a dancer because I don't know if you can tell, but it's really hard to change the outfit. Basically the dancer has to do the exact same move, like in two different outfits, and then you join it together. So it's you need to get someone that's professional in like they be able to mimic the same movement again and again. So we worked with a dancer, which was great. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even just your business having that side of things and presenting your product in that way, It's very creative and very inspiring and makes you want to buy.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, which is the aim of the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Very
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah.
Very
No, doing videos is like a lot of fun.
So where was this B&B? Are you able to say where the
Yeah,
B&B?
it was so out near past Kyneton. It was kind of Malmesbury, maybe.
Malmesbury?
Malmesbury, yeah. Yeah. And I think I was looking on Airbnb and I think I found it because of the wallpaper. But then when we went to the house, it just had even everything in the kitchen was retro, you know, so it was amazing. It was kind of perfect because you had a complete set already set up for you. Yes. And you know, so it's kind of like you'd hire someone to probably go out and source all that. So it was lucky to and it was just their holiday home that they just wanted to make really retro and cool. So
lovely. Yeah, lovely. And anyone else got any questions? I could keep asking questions forever of Emma, but anyone else? And any questions? Charlie, do you want to buy some shirts, Charlie? Some floral shirts? He's muted. Yeah.
No, I was going to say we're into repairing everything and not buying anything.
Yeah.
I've got some beautiful men's floral shirts. I've discovered it's a really good way of getting 3/4 sleeve blouses of really good quality fabric. So a few of them, including the one I turned the collar on last week, people will say to me when they see it, they'll say to me, "Where do you get your shirts?" And I'll go, "They come off the menswear racks in op shops."
Yes, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I know. I always look at the men's shirts in the op shops. Like I always like picking up, if I find a really interesting shirt that has something done with like the collar or something, I know, you know, just always pick up them for like inspiration.
Yeah.
They're so beautifully made.
And shirts that require cufflinks, there's not a lot of demand, and so they sit on the racks. And it's a great way to buy pastel coloured shirts too, because I wear quite a lot of pale pink, and of course lots of guys don't want to wear it, and so they end up on the discount racks. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I think Anne's Anne made a good point. I mean, and I think you understand because we've had a chat that what we do is all about, you know, reuse and repair and recycling fabric, reusing fabric, as Sue was saying. Have you got any words of wisdom from that perspective rather than more the buying perspective?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I feel like it's really great. If you know, it's always best to try and keep anything out of landfill. You know, if you can repair it, and you know, if like what you were talking about, getting quite creative with patching, and you can start to make it a feature. It doesn't have to be like, you know, you don't have to try and get the garment back to what it was when it was new. You can kind of start to work with you can kind of start to transform, and you can bring other colors into it. I used to patch things a lot with playing around with the colors of the thread, and then trying to do like kind of patterns on top of the fabric. I've done that a lot with like my jeans and stuff. And yeah, I think in my workroom, I'm always trying to minimize waste, and any kind of scraps I'm always sewing together. I just hate wasting everything. I've got boxes and boxes of fabric scraps, and I'm sending some fabric to a friend who makes like the wrap stuff at the moment. You know, the
wonderful.
bees. So because I've got so I've got a friend who does that business. So I send her some of my fabrics, and then the others I do scrunchies. So I can just show you quickly.
I've seen your scrunchies, Emma. They're great.
Yeah. So these are all scrunchies that are made from like different scraps. And yeah, I always, yeah, I'm like, I never really let anything leave the workroom that I can't work again, you know. I've got also, yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask you, so do you use all natural fibers?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I've got a couple viscoses, like a little bit here and there, but everything is, I use like organic cotton, hemp, bamboo, linen, yeah, all
That's
the
good.
cotton. Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't, I used to have really bad psoriasis and I've never been able to wear anything synthetic. So yeah. I've never touched synthetic fibers. And then that was one of the reasons why I had to go offshore for printing, because digitally printing on cotton is it's quite difficult, because the cotton absorbs the color a bit differently than synthetic. So digitally printing on synthetics is quite, it's much easier to get bright colors. And yeah, so it just takes a lot of like sophisticated machinery to digitally print on cotton and get it really vibrant colors. So it was kind of, that's one of the reasons why I talk to people, explain why nothing is printed here, I print overseas. Yeah, it's all printed on cotton. All my shirts are
Wonderful.
I pretty much use the same weighted cotton now for everything as well. So, yeah.
You mentioned about copyright and how that's a concern when you're dealing with Australian artists and their artwork. How does that sort of pan out in a practical manner? Do you involve lawyers in that? How does it work?
Yeah, it's so I haven't done anything quite. Everyone I've worked with has been almost like they're a friend of mine or a friend of a friend. So the contract is quite like we haven't engaged with like an IP lawyer.
Yes.
I did apply for an Australian grant, like a grant to work with an Indigenous artist, and I started to look more with the IP lawyers, because I know with working with an Indigenous artist, there's a lot of a lot of things that you need to do with protecting their artwork and everything. So, but with my friends and that, it's usually just a contract, and we agree on a price and amount of meters, or I never constrain my the selling to a particular time, because if something takes a bit longer to sell, I don't want to have to put it on sale for no reason, or not be able to sell it because it's past a time frame. So nothing. Whenever I agree, it's usually to do with quantity and a price, and yeah. And if I want to rework it later, like some of the artwork I own, so they've made that for me, and I can rework that later. Like sometimes if I wanted to change the background blue, like I've kind of helped make it as well. Like they've handed me the motifs, and then I've worked with putting the composition together. So I guess I have, it's more of the collaboration between both of us. But if I've paid the artist to reproduce their work, obviously like I don't touch it, and then if I don't really, I'll just put it in a repeat. That's the only thing I'll do with it. Some artists are like, fine, they say, if you want to make it the colors brighter or change it a bit around, you can do that. And then some other artists are like, no, that's exactly how I want my artwork to be. And so it's just, I think you do have to be really clear and upfront of what you're both expecting out of the collaboration. I think that's just the key. Make it really clear with that it does take a bit of work going if I need to change the artwork, because some artwork, if an artwork is like upright, so like this print behind me, if you can see that geo pattern, it can be worn either way. But when you have a print where the bird, just say one of the bird print, the bird has to be upright, that's that adds a lot to like the production, because it means there's only a certain way I can cut the garment. And so these days I try to make the artwork a two-way print, so it gives me more flexibility in production, and then minimizes waste as well. And I'm able to squeeze more patterns on the roll instead of having to have that's another.
There's a lot to consider. It's mind-blowing, really, the more you get into it. And but it's good you can sort of avoid the lawyers, because you work on tight margins, so if you're bringing in lawyers, there's quite a lot of costs there, isn't there?
And also you just want to give all the money that you have just straight to the artist and vice versa, so it's kind of touch wood, every collaboration has been, I haven't had to engage with any lawyers or anything. But I think I don't know what it'd be like if I was doing it on a much bigger mass produced scale, and there was, it might be a bit different. And I make sure now to always have like a contract just to say that I was able to use that just for, protection. And I don't know. It's always, you're always like figuring it out, I guess.
Yeah, well, you certainly are figuring it out. You're operating, and and it's all happening. So how has COVID-19 affected business for you?
It's been good and bad. There's been basically, I can't have my studio open, which has been probably hard with, because I'm the only one that can be in here. Sometimes I'll have people helping me pack orders and stuff. So I guess my time has been stretched, and I've been kind of having to do like packing and sewing and doing other, sometimes I'll have some people come in and help with those things for me, which will be I'm kind of missing having that extra help in the studio. But I just thought like it'd be easier just to have me here at the moment. And
you've got online. You're an online shop, so
and the online has been going really well. So
good.
That's good. It's been, I think we'll have started to think more local, and just also I've had a lot of sales where people have been Googling, Melbourne shirts or Melbourne clothing. So I think people want to support local businesses, and I think everyone's thinking about support, like thinking what's more local when they go to buy something instead of purchasing from one of the big corporations. So
that's good.
And
delivery time.
Sorry,
delivery
Sue?
time. If it's made and available locally, then you know that it's actually going to arrive, because delivery on all that international stuff with flights and stuff.
And I think people, because all the shipping has been completely blocked up at the moment. People want something that's just like in Australia or even in Victoria. So
are your fabrics coming through that you need from China?
Luckily I haven't ordered anything. Like the fabric that I got for winter was all it was from, and where else? I think from Australia. Oh, so I haven't actually got any fabrics from China since last year. So everything this year's been from Melbourne. Like obviously it came from overseas beforehand, but it's been a company that I got from Melbourne, or it's been from New Zealand.
Oh, good.
So I haven't, but but yeah, I have had to send some sample stuff that I've been like working on overseas, and it took like double, you know, what usually it would take 2 weeks, it took like over a month. So I know that there'd be massive delays.
One question I do want to ask you, because Danny and I were talking about it the other day, are there any textile mills in Victoria or elsewhere that are making, you know, textile, that are making fabric?
Yeah, I know a lot of shut down. I don't know. I used yeah. I'm not quite sure of many that are still operating. I think, yeah, even in the last, maybe even the last 10 years, there's been so many. Because when I was at university, I used to go to the fabric mills in Melbourne and get offcuts from them that I could use really cheap, and they're definitely not so on now, those people. So there might be, I don't want to say that they've all shut down, there might be, but I know I've seen a lot, like, yeah, shut up. And because I was looking at trying to get socks made locally in like the knitting mills, and it was hard for me to find some local knitted, like Tasmania.
Well, the Mongrel Sock Company in Tasmania, they've got knitting machines to make socks, because I wear their socks.
Oh, okay.
So mongrel as in dog.
Yep. Yep.
There's two young fellows in Brunswick that are making socks too.
Yeah, I think.
Are they?
Yeah.
And is Wangaratta Mill still going?
Wangaratta. I don't know.
And Macquarie Worsted used to be in Albury, but I think when the freeway went through, they might have had to move. But they were making fabric until not terribly long ago.
Yeah, it'd be good to know. Yeah, if anyone knows, maybe to post a link to this Facebook live stream.
Yeah. I get my jumpers knitted in Richmond. There's a knitting, they're part of Kangan Institute. That's where I get my beanies knitted and my jumpers, and they also make scarves.
Yeah, and there's also a knitting operation in Brunswick someplace. I can't think of the name of the family, but they've been there forever. And if I can think of them, I'll post that. And in Clunes, there are actually 2 women in Clunes called, I think, the Sockery, that make handmade socks on the old hand crank machine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I've seen footage of them, yep.
Yeah, they're amazing. And they dye their own fabric. So, Emma, I'll let you know about them, because it's just interesting to see the hand crank machine, and wonderful, just wonderful. But I guess I'm going down this path because I'm thinking of COVID-19 and how they're talking about bringing manufacturing back in you know, home. Not totally, that I don't think will ever happen because of globalization, but I think we have to do more at home. And being from, I believe you're from a rag trade family, aren't you? Too, they're still in business. Your family.
Oh no,
are they?
No, my mum works in textiles, but no, not from like production.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you know, you understand production anyway, and it's just we would love to see some of that, you know, come back here to Melbourne. Yeah, I just hanging up there. These were all made in, you know, Australia, Melbourne, and you know, really nice quality, you know, garments, leather jacket with a lovely patterned lining, my nurse's cape, a lovely, we can't see it there, but a lovely pea coat with a fur collar, you know, I got from the op shop, except my nurse's cape. That was when I was nursing at Epworth Hospital in Richmond many years ago. But to see the quality, the quality in these garments and compare them to anything from overseas. Well, you just can't compare.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having been and touched your beautiful garments and, you know, commenting on the quality, if you remember, as you said, the shirts are just glorious, and to see the quality in them is delightful. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's always really important.
There's a move generally though for people to go for quality now over quantity, and that rather than buying 10 $5 shirts, they'll pay $50 and get one good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can tell the difference. They wash up better. You can iron them. I was ironing some polyester because somebody gave me some polyester to fix something. And as I was ironing it, it was actually scrunching up.
Oh.
Yeah, just like the plastic. You know, you thought well, we know it is plastic, but when you iron maybe a sheet or something that's reasonable quality and is poly cotton or whatever, it doesn't scrunch up like it's melting. And when I saw that happen, it was just like, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah.
Such poor quality out there.
Poly cotton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poly, all right. Yeah, and I could smell it. And very thin. So I think that's really the advantage of having sewn, and certainly Sue would attest to this, and Anne, that you mightn't be costume designers or, you know, qualified seamstress, but if you've sewn a garment and put a garment together, even just one, you realize how much work goes into it, and you wouldn't want to really make it with cheap stuff because of all the work that goes into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's so many different steps, and I think one of the things when I first started my brand was always I wanted to make sure the shirts would completely outlast the wearer. You know, I didn't want it to be something that, like, you know, unlike fast fashion, which is just, you know, you only can wear it for a certain amount of time. Like, it kind of, so I think like all the fabrics, once after they're printed, they go through a series of like lab testing where they test like the fade test and the like fabric resilience, and so it's good because you can wash them as many times as you like and it will stay the same. So
yes. So you do that testing as well. That's great. Yeah.
That's why fabrics like Liberty Print have the reputation they do, because they last.
Yes. Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, those Liberty fabrics are amazing. Like, you can really the difference.
And what's it like working with hemp? Have you got any thoughts on hemp? You know, they say cotton is sort of water intensive, but they also say there are issues with hemp, although, you know, some people say we should be using a lot more hemp. Have you got any thoughts on it?
I really like hemp. It's it has some characteristics like linen, but it's definitely a little, you can throw it around much more than linen. It's not as delicate. It's very strong. It does have, you know, like linen, that crinkle. Well, the hemp fabrics that I have, the woven ones, you know, I think if you're someone that wears linen in the woven style, you kind of just embrace all like the creases, and it becomes like part of the, you know, the
look, the style.
The look, yeah. So some people worry like, oh, how do I get the creases out? I'm like, no, it's always going to have that like all those it's almost becomes like texture in the fabric. So the hemp is great to dye, really good for dyeing absorbs, and you can get some nice vibrant colors in it. And yeah, I think that we'll start to see a lot more hemp come through, especially because cotton's so thirsty. Yeah, we should. I mean, hemp is definitely something that could easily replace cotton. And yeah, so this is.
It's fairly fast growing too, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is hemp. This one. So it kind of looks like
it does.
Looks like linen.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
But it's really strong. Like you can. It's great for guys as well. Like if they want to throw that in the washing machine and everything, and becomes much softer as you wear it, which is nice.
Yes.
Like linen.
Like linen. Yeah. Yeah. It starts to kind of mold to your body nicely. And it will start to drape nicely.
So people on this group, Emma, and in repair cafes, dealing with textiles, we love to talk about sewing machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know I've been on Facebook and I've spied you as a 7-year-old sewing, learning, on your sewing machine.
Yeah.
So you've had an association with sewing machines for a long, long time, and I've seen your industrial sewing machines. Any recommendations for machines when maybe, portable, going to repair cafes or maintenance of sewing machines, or your industrial sewing machines? Anything you'd like to say about them?
Yeah, like I think mostly all my sewing machines are Japanese made, I think. I'm pretty sure. So I think they're, I've always used industrials just because once you kind of start to learn on them through university, they're just so much easier to use and fast, and but in terms, then also like my domestic machines were, I think, Genomes, and I have a guy that comes and services them, but nothing has really happened at the moment.
Who does that for you?
His name's Lynn.
Oh, no. Okay.
But, I would like to, if now that I have some people around me that know them, I might be calling in some favors to have some. But, they kind of, when you lift up the industrial sewing machine, there's like an oil bed, and it's just, they run so well because they're always constantly lubricated.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, but, I don't know much about like fixing them or anything, because I've always kind of had help with that. But I definitely know that if you do have an industrial and you need to move it, it's really hard. Yes.
Have you got an industrial overlocker?
Yes. Yeah.
And well, Danny found one for free for me. I really just wanted the table, but he decided he really wanted to fix this because he's mechanical, right? So he really had to fix this overlocker for me because it wasn't working. So he fixed it. And now I've got this industrial overlocker, and he's the only one that can thread it because it's a nightmare. The domestic ones are a nightmare. So how do you go about threading your overlocker, Emma?
Oh, so if I ever need to change the thread, I just cut the thread and pull it through. And there's two, you would know the two that come through the needle are very easy, but the other two are like, I will spend like, really precious, like pulling it, because I know once I break those two, I can spend it, like it could push my day back like 2 hours trying to read. Yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrible. Horrible.
No matter how much light and tweezers I have, I can't. And the guy that comes and does my maintenance. He's really good. I'll take a photo of my sheen sometimes, and it's crazy if like there will be the thread is through an extra little loop hole that it's not supposed to be. It'll put the whole sewing strip like out. It can throw a little tiny bit of like tension on one thread, throws the whole machine out, and then I'll just just slightly unpick a thread from a corner, and then it runs fine. So it's it can drive you mad trying to figure out what's wrong with it.
Well, I'm glad it's not just us.
No.
Oh my god. Yeah. And then you'll be sewing on a fabric and it's going great, and then you swap to a different fabric and like it will just be a bit off, and you're like, no.
Oh, so yes, I just thought it was because, I'm not this flash sort of sewist, seamstress, whatever, that I just don't understand all of this. But you've given me hope that I'm not as bad as I thought I was. You too have those problems.
Yeah.
And you too, Anne, by the looks of it.
The tip I got given by my service guy for threading the lower loopers was to double your thread over. So like about 4 or 5 inches, double it over and then twist it. So that you've then got something that's stiffer and easier to thread through. And I found that made a big difference with doing the loopers.
Oh, well, that's a good tip. Yeah.
And always thread in a light colour. Even if you want black, you thread it with white or yellow and then tie your black on and pull it through, because trying to see what you're doing with a dark colour is virtually impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And also with the overlocker. Pardon?
I said especially as we're aging.
Yeah, it's if with the overlocker, as all the guy that serviced mine, he said if something's not right and you're trying to figure out what thread it is, you put 4 different coloured threads on.
Yes.
And then you can kind of start to control the thread tensions like that, because it's so hard. Yeah.
And even the domestic machines, Danny, I've got 2 domestics here, and Danny knows how to thread those very well because he's had plenty of practice. And so when he was going to repair cafes, he was getting all the overlockers, but they're all so different, as you know.
Yeah.
And in the end, he just said, I don't want any more overlockers. Because often the lighting is not so great at repair cafes.
Yeah.
And you sort of, a lot is happening. And you just don't have, you need time to do them. And he's got big hands and he's got some osteoarthritis. So, all of that on a tiny little domestic machine. He just said, no, I don't want to see any more of them. It got to that stage. Yeah. But so do you see the people from the maker community a bit, Emma, because they walk through your shop?
Yeah, so I see them quite a bit. I haven't seen anyone for ages now because no one's in, but yeah, I see I always see them if I need. They've actually helped me out when I've needed to get some pieces of wood to do some stuff around.
Yeah.
And, so they'll be. I've missed them. I haven't seen them for. Yeah,
they're such a friendly, vibrant lot, and very, very helpful. And you might as well take advantage of their fixing skills if you need something. Yeah. Well, it's been really, really nice chatting with you. If anyone's got any last questions they want to ask you, Anne, Sue, Charlie, anything?
I'm out for a few minutes, so I'll see you in a minute.
Okay. Yep.
Bye.
Thanks, Emma.
Emily,
that's okay.
And your shirts are online?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
You can have if you go to my website, it has all the designs.
Yeah, you'll be able to do that, Sue, at HEW, HEW.
I'll follow it off the Facebook page. I'm sure there'll be a website link there.
you're pretty Facebook savvy. And also I think it'd be really nice if you want to, Emma, to give a plug for your sewing machine man here, because there are often times when our community needs someone to be doing more. Is he got a website or a number, a contact that you can perhaps?
Yeah, he does have a he's put a sticker on my machine. So after this, maybe I can take a photo of that sticker and put it up in your group.
That would be really, really good, because we like to promote businesses as well, because Repair Cafe meets a need once a month when they're running, but we're limited, and sometimes there's more that needs to be done. So we try and promote repair businesses in the local community. So we'd really like to know about him, if that's all right.
Yeah, he's really good. He always helps with stuff. Like one of my machines broke and he was able to find another motor to replace that. Yeah, so he has all bits and like pieces to fix it.
Yeah, no, that's great, and a good recommendation too. Word of mouth, which is always good. Charlie, have you got anything else? Charlie?
Hi. Hey.
Anything else?
Writing things on that. I've posted the link to Emma's Facebook page on the comments, and it's been a good conversation. Yeah.
Well, happy Fashion Revolution Week.
Yes, happy Fashion Revolution Week.
Yeah, and I think we're all doing our little bit for promoting it, and I'm so pleased that we've had this opportunity to do this, Emma.
Oh, thanks, Karen. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. And
you're most welcome, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, in your wonderful, vibrant studio.
Yeah. I know. Anytime if anyone wants to come and visit, I'm always here. So you can come down and I can show you my workspace if you want to have a look, and if you have any questions.
Yeah, it's really, really good. We felt very, very welcome, and you gave us the time to ask you questions, and we knew you were busy. You gave us the time because we were so interested. So thank you very much.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Thanks so much.
Take care.
All right.
Stay safe.
Do I just leave the meeting? Yeah. You too.
Yes. Bye. Stay safe.